Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Smart GS. Myself Praveen. Before getting to the video, first of all, thank you each and every well-wisher for all your love and support showered towards me to my last video. Keeping in mind, I will try to post more and more videos with conceptual clarity within time. On the other side, considering few suggestions given by some of our viewers, in order to get better understanding the concepts, I have chosen to deliver the lectures in traditional method, that is pen and board. Meanwhile, please do mention further any type of suggestions at the end of the lecture in comment section below. Thank you. So, let's begin the session. Here are some of the terminologies we will try to analyze in this video, starting from barter system. So before that, once observe this slide, except barter system, the remaining terminology is all related to present modern economy. So that is currency, legal tender, bearer instrument, debtor and creditor, next collateral security, formal and informal sectors, liquidity. So here by this slide one can know that how the modern economy evolved since the modern evolution of mankind. So we will explain these all terminologies in a story manner so that one can attach the concept easily. So this is my camera, and in this way I will explain my lectures throughout the course. So starting from the story of evolution of modern economy. So how the Indian economy evolved. So this is the question. So here, as we all know that after the man's evolution, that is human being, after the man's evolution, he lived with primitive life. So what is nothing but primitive life? Without lack of food, he lived without lack of food, lack of shelter, lack of clothes. Okay, during those times he lived with primitive lives. Okay. So subsequently up to 18th century, in fact there is not much change in these lives. Okay, and from 18th century onwards, because of industrialization, because of industrial revolution and invention of science and technology and invention of steam engine, these major factors, these major developments took place during those times. Due to this some change has been seen in these primitive stages of human beings in those times. Okay, next, what is how the financial, next question is how the financial instrument evolved. So financial instrument means, here at present we are using the financial instruments example as money. So similarly in those times from primitive stages, what is the system used to exchange the goods? There should be some medium of exchange like money. So during that time, what is the medium of exchange used to be? So we will see in a story manner this one. So starting from barter system. So there is a system called barter system. So what is the prominent of this barter system? It is nothing but the goods are exchanged without any medium of exchange. So for example, there is two persons, A and B. So he has some grains and he has some cattle. So he desires to sell grains to B. So the same product wishes to buy grains from A. So similarly vice versa, he desires to sell cattle to A and he wishes to buy cattle from B. So here there is a principle behind the concept. What is the principle here? Double coincidence of wants. So here, to satisfy the barter system, the double coincidence of wants should be there between any two persons. So until the double coincidence of wants is there, it is possible, the barter system. So coming to the present era, this barter system may not possible because of lot of intervention has been done. So now we have number of mobiles, new technologies. Okay, now this double coincidence of wants absolutely not possible because of technology, intervention in science and technology. Several new products came out. Okay, there is a lot of demand for new products. There is a lot of options. If I doesn't like some phone, I can go to the other phone. So there is no chance of double coincidence here. Okay, so thousands of products across the world. Under these circumstances, double coincidence of want is not possible at all. But so this barter system is just relegated to some interior parts of the country, especially tribal areas. So here subsequently after barter system, so we came to the era of precious metal coins. So this is the first sequence, then second step. So here we subsequently we came to the era of issue of coins with precious metal like gold, silver, copper. Okay, so where these have some intrinsic value, these have got some intrinsic value. These coins in those days have got intrinsic value, that is, coins itself will derive its own value. It deserve itself the value from the precious metals. Okay, so it has some intrinsic value because of it characteristics. It is mixed with some metals like gold, copper, silver. So it is giving some value to us. Now itself also we will get some value if ever we sell these type of old coins. Okay, now if we look at some 100 rupee, whenever we look some 100 rupee, if government considers it as a legal tender, it's fine. Okay, so if ever the government gives legal tender for this particular note, it's fine. Until that, it is no problem. It will get some products depending upon the currency. Otherwise, if government withdraws its legal tender, it is just like a piece of paper. For example, demonetization method we have seen. In times of demonetization, what happened? So 500 and 1000 rupee notes has been seized to be legal tender. So what is nothing but legal tender? So we are considering the other terminology. So legal tender is nothing but, here it is authorized by government of for all the transactions, and no one can deny, okay, that as a medium of exchange. It is legally to be accepted. It has to be legally to be accepted until government gives legal tender to it. No one can deny it. Okay, but whenever you take some old 500 rupees and ask any vendor to give some products, they will not give because its legal tender has been cancelled. Okay, so the legal tender is issued by the government of India. Okay, so this is nothing but legal tender. Now after the precious metal coins, so the during subsequently the population has increasing day by day, and the major of peoples are roaming each other, each and every state and every corner of the country in search of food. So to satisfy the people, to satisfy each and every people, there should be a maximum medium of exchange to be done. So here it is not sufficient to mint these coins with the help of scarce resources. So the other subsequently we came to the era of currency. Okay, so currency is nothing but coins and paper currency, paper notes. Okay, we are seeing at present we are seeing some paper currencies, paper notes and coins. So it is a medium, it is a modern form of money. It is not like an ancient form of money. It is a modern form of money. It is accepted as a medium of exchange nowadays. Okay, it is authorized or designated by the government as a legal tender. So here already we have seen the legal tender. Government takes the responsibility of giving us that much value for the currency or particular coin. So if, for example, if you take some 2000 rupees to the market, depending upon the cost of products, you are entitled for purchase. No one can deny that. Okay, so you have to note that nowadays this currency is calling as fiat money. So it is very important to know the terminology. What is nothing but fiat money? Fiat money is nothing but it is not having any intrinsic value. So here intrinsic value will be not there. Okay, so here, but precious metal coins having some from some intrinsic value. So till now itself we can sell, but now itself we cannot sell the 500 rupees and 1000 rupees whoever denied the legal tender. Okay, so that is the difference between the precious metal coins and now present modern currency. So this modern currency will have some intrinsic value after some 200 years or 300 years. So there might be chance to get that intrinsic value, but now itself we are not having an intrinsic value because it depends upon the legal tender. If it deserves value, if it wanted it derive it cannot derive its value if government seizes its legal tender. Okay, so now the currency happened. Now next we have to. So here we came to the era of currency. So here we are evolving towards modern form of currency like notes as well as coins, and somebody should dare to regulate all these financial activities. So there are some regulators. Okay, so RBI is one of the regulator. So what is nothing but regulator? So he has to manage. So the RBI has to manage, the RBI has to monitor, the RBI has to supply money throughout country. Okay, so here RBI is one such regulator, and it takes the liability. Okay, it takes the liability for all the value designated on the particular currency notes. Okay, so in any currency note, whenever we observe any currency note, there is a promise. There will be a printed form message, that is, I promise to pay. 1 second, I will show in the slide. Okay, so this type of message will be printed on every note. So in the, we can able to see in red boxes that I promise to pay the sum of the 100 rupees. So here some 200 or 300, any rupee, the value will be designated. So here I promise to pay the bearer the sum of dash rupees. There will be printed message. That means whoever bears, whoever takes this note, so currency note is an example of bearer instrument. So whoever takes the note, he is a liability to entitle the value for that particular note. So he will get some products for that note. So that is, if I have a 100 rupee note, I am entitled for that. Okay, same as the other also. So it is not like check. So check is nothing but, check means if you write some name, he is only entitled for that value. But notes and coins are bearer instruments. So notes and coins, whoever carries these notes, he can entitled. But checks, with respect to name, so he is only entitled for that cash. So here the examples of bearer instruments are nothing but currency, but checks are not bearer instruments. So here we have to note that. So here bank is not sufficient to look after entire India. So here what they has to do. So here banks concept will come. So banks. So here the banks are entitled into public and private banks. So starting from barter system, how the modern economy evolved since the since the mankind. So here starting from barter system, later subsequently we came to the era of precious coins, and later we come to the era of printing the currencies, that is nothing but fiat currency. It is having no intrinsic value, but it is having some intrinsic value. So here the coins and paper notes. So to look after these coins and paper notes, some body should be there. So that's why the RBI has been established, and it is established in 1935 at first headquarters at Kolkata. So later shifted to 1937 at Mumbai. Okay, so the RBI has the responsibility to give the liability to particular notes. So if the legal tender, so here the concept of legal tender we have also explained about that. So after that RBI, it is not possible to look after entire country. So that's why it is managing the banks. So banks are categorized into public and private. So what is the difference between the public and private? We will see in 1 second. So here the public and private bank concept should be discussed. So public means government, private means private people. So when a corporate bank, when a bank or a body or any organization called as public, so whenever it matters to ownership, so here the ownership is matters. So here entire 100% shares, in entire 100% shares, whoever carry 51% shares, he will be a owner. So here the public sector banks and public sector organization, so all the public sector organization bodies, anything. So here the public is holding, that means public is managing, that means public is regulating that body. Okay, public is giving, government is giving the government is giving salaries to that persons, government is managing, government is monitoring. So this is done by the government. So that's why it is called public sectors. What is nothing but private? So maximum capacity of shares holding by the private people. So for example, Ratan Tata is holding maximum capacity of shares. Okay, so he is managing the Tata company, he is regulating the Tata company. That's why he became Tata became a private company. So whenever a Tata shares has been sold to government of India, then it becomes a public body. Okay, how many shares it has to be sell? Maximum number of shares, that is he should withhold the maximum capacity of share, then only it can become public body. So public sector. So we will see one particular important terminology, public sector, private sector. So this is we have seen until now, public sector, private sector, ownership matters. Okay, so what is the difference between public limited and private limited? Limited is nothing but it is limiting to public, or and it is limiting to private. So limiting is nothing but, for example, Tata. I am considering the Tata company is, so here Tata company want to expand its business or not? So it want to expand its business in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Kolkata, Chennai, Delhi. So like this, Tata want to expand its business. So through this process, it want money. Without money, it cannot expand business. So where it gathers money? So either from public or banks. So the Tata company has two options. It will ask money from public, or it will ask money from banks. So here banks give three options to the Tata company. So here working capital loan. There are three types of loans here given by banks to companies: working capital loan, bridge loans, and term loans. So what is nothing but working capital loan? Working capital loan is nothing but, the name itself it tells, day-to-day management. So whenever a Tata company want to manage its day-to-day businesses, day-to-day regulations, it requires money. For that purpose it requires money, for that purpose it asks money from banks. So that type of loan is called working capital loan. So and what is nothing but bridge loans? The name itself it tells, the bridge is nothing but to fulfill the gap between two places. Similarly, a Tata company asks money to fulfill the gap, the deficits, the liabilities. Okay, so to fulfill the deficits of the Tata company, it requires money. So then it asks some banks to in form of a loan. So that type of loan is called bridge loans. Okay, to fulfill deficits. And what is nothing but term? Term is nothing but the period, for 1 period, 2 period, 3 period, for a certain period of time it will ask money. So here the term is nothing but for certain period, whenever a Tata company want, it asks money from banks. So these type of loans, from these type of loans, the Tata company acquires money to expand its business. So this is the one story, and how the Tata company asks money from the public. Okay, so here the concept of shares and bonds will come into picture. Okay, so whenever a company want to expand its business, one of the option to acquire money is by borrowing money from public. So how the public will donate money, how the public will lend money to the companies? By shares and bonds. For example, whenever a Tata company issues shares and bonds to public, it is nothing but public limited. Okay, so that's why Tata has become public limited, and it is a private sector. So Tata is a private sector. Why? Because it is a private sector, because Ratan Tata is holding maximum capacity of shares. That's why it is called private sector. And how public limited means? It is issuing shares and bonds. Now let us see some examples of public private sectors and public private limiteds. So SBI is a public sector because it is holding by the government of India, managing by government of India. And next one is for example, when it is coming to the limited, it is a public limited because SBI is issuing shares and bonds. So here NTPC is also public sector. Government is holding the maximum shares in this company. So when coming to the limited, where we can place it, it is a compulsorily it is a public sector. When coming to the Tata is a private sector and it is a public limited. When compared to the Flipkart is a private sector, and Flipkart comes under private limited. So here Flipkart does not issue any, it is not issuing any shares and bonds to the public. That's why it is called a private limited. Only private participants are involving in its expansion of business. That's why it is called as a private limited. For example, Paytm is always private sector and Private Limited. Okay, so here there might be a news that there is a news that Paytm is going to be a public limited soon, as soon. So what is the meaning of the public limited? Paytm is trying to issue the shares and bonds in public, so that public is limiting to the expansion of its business. Okay, so in that way you have to study every concept. So here the examples of private limited and public limited is very important. So let us take another example. For example, Quaker is a private sector and private limited. Next, ONGC. Okay, so these are we can now say anybody. We can say anybody, that is we can distinguish between private sector and limited. So here very important to note that limited is nothing but private limited and public limited. If ever a company issuing shares and bonds to expand its business, it is nothing but public limited. So public is limiting to its expansion of business. So whenever a company is not issuing any shares and bonds to its expansion, it is nothing but a private limited. So now we can say this we can relate to any type of organization. So friends, in a brief, I will explain once again what I have said until now. So starting from barter system. So barter system onwards, next coming to the precious metal coins introduced by some Mughal empires, and after that currency has been invented, and after that RBI has to be regulate this one, and RBI maintaining some banks, and banks are categorized into public and private. And here banks can this is one type of story, and another is shares and bonds. So what is the use of shares and bonds, we will discuss in the next upcoming slides. So very important topic you have to know about shares and bonds. So here we have to why we are discussing the terms shares and bonds in this, because we have to differentiate between the limited and private limited and private public limited. So here the public limited is nothing but it is issuing shares. So company is issuing shares. If ever it issues shares, it is public. The public is limiting to its expansion. Okay, public is involving in its expansion. We can say in another terms also, in company's expansion, whenever there is whenever a company issues shares and bonds to the public, it is involving the public in its expansion. Okay, so we will see entire shares and bonds in one class. Okay, so this is the story behind how the modern economy evolved since the evolution of mankind. So this is a primitive stage, and this is present era. So corporate systems are evolving nowadays. So in this style the corporate systems are evolving, and in the primitive stage, in earlier stages, the barter system. So in this day we have to study. So this is the life cycle of this is the cycle of how the modern economy evolved since the evolution of mankind. So after this we will see some slides. So coming to the barter system, we have seen in this barter system evolution of modern economy, how we have evoluted. So here from barter, next gold, next metal coins, next paper currency we have seen today, and plastic cards we are using now, ATMs like that, and we are using digital currencies. That is digital currencies with ATMs are like electronic mobiles, electronic money. And after that cryptocurrency. What is nothing but cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is advanced stage of medium of exchange. Here developed countries using these is preferring these type of currencies. So these are already established countries. So developed countries are already established countries, and these are well established, well infrastructured countries. So there is no need of any malpractices there. So that's why the cryptocurrency is advantageous to those developed countries. But when coming to the developing countries like India, we are facing lot of poverty, we are facing lot of corruption, we are facing lot of malpractices here. So being a developing country, we should not focus this type of infrastructure, because being a developing country, we are in still developing stage. Okay, once we will become developed, we can choose these type of infrastructures. So friends, we have to understand that cryptocurrency and the difference between the cryptocurrency and fiat currency. So fiat currency, we know that fiat currency has no intrinsic value. when it has no intrinsic value, because it is not a it has no intrinsic value, because it whenever government has seized the when the government seizes the legal tender for that, it becomes like piece of paper whenever we see in this in demonetization rule. Okay, so this fiat currency and cryptocurrency differences. So here, when coming to the cryptocurrency, it is generated by computers, as we all know that it is a unphysical scene. It is not like a paper currencies, it is not like a coins. Okay, it is in terms of bitcoins, it will be transferred from one person to other person through medium of exchange. Here there is no medium of exchange, only computer generated bitcoins here. Okay, it leads to malpractices in developing countries, like terror funding, like corruptions, okay, like black money. Okay, so here the fiat currency is nothing but issued by governments. Okay, it is decentralization. There is no centralization part like RBI. Okay, there is no regulator body for this cryptocurrencies. Proper regulator body is not there, is absent in cryptocurrency. Okay, next, digital medium of exchange. Here the medium of exchange is digital in cryptocurrency, but here the physical medium of exchange we can see. And limited supply is in cryptocurrency, and unlimited supply we can see in recent times. Okay, in present era we are seeing this fiat currencies in more supplies. Okay, next, coming to the legal tender, we have seen already. So this 500 and 1000 rupee notes has been seized. Once the legal tender has been cancelled for these notes, these are not used for rotation purpose. These are not used for any buying products. Okay, that's why it is not having any intrinsic value like precious metal coins. So here the precious metal coin, why we are saying it has some intrinsic value? Whenever we buy those precious coins now in present era, we will get some value for that, but we will not get any value for 500 rupee 1000 rupees notes after demonetization. Okay, so that's why it is not having any intrinsic value. Intrinsic value means internal value it must carry. Okay, next, coming to the RBI we have seen some glimpse of RBI. This is so coming to the RBI, the currency has to be monitored, the currency has to be exchequer, the currency has to be reserve, the currency has to be transferred from one place to the other place. So it is also called as banker to the government of India. Okay, it is also called a payment system. It regulates the payment system. It is a cash manager. It reserves the foreign exchange reserves. It is also called as financial system manager. It looks after the monetary manager. It is also called as bankers to the government of India. It is also called as bankers to bank. So these are some of the functions of RBI. So the entire concept of RBI we will see in one particular class. So why we are using this RBI in present slide? Because the current evolution of modern, we are talking about evolution of modern economy. So for regulating this modern economy, we need compulsorily RBI. So that's why we are taking this slide. Next, bearer instrument, very important. So in this slide we will see some red blocks. In this slide, every note carries some message. What is the type of message? I promise to pay the bearer a sum of dash rupees. So in this 100 rupee note, the sign will be that means the liability is given by the government of India. That means whoever take the note, he is liability to entitled to buy a product. Okay, according to 100 rupee, a product will entitled for that person. For example, if I have a 100 rupee note, I am entitled for that value. Okay, it is not like check. Okay, check is not a bearer instrument. Okay, very important. The examination the questions ask like this: check is not a bearer instrument. Why it is not a bearer instrument? Why means, if ever in check, whenever we write some name, okay, for this X person only, he only entitled for that cash. He only sole responsibility for entitled to cash, to receive the cash. Okay, but whenever 100 rupee note is there, there is no name for particular person has to be handled. Okay, the 100 rupee note to if I have 100 rupee, I can purchase. You have 100 rupee, you can purchase. But checks are not a bearer instrument, because those are entitled to for particular person only. So this you have to understand. Okay, so this is nothing but a bearer instrument. So the examples of bearer instruments are currencies. Okay, types of banks we have seen, public and private banks. Next, debitor and creditor. What is the difference between debitor and creditor? Here, whoever lends, whoever lends, whoever lends means, lending means giving, and borrowing means taking. So here debtor means borrower. Okay, these terminologies you have to know before entering into main subjects. Okay, creditor, sorry. Okay, so debtor means here, when debtor means whoever purchases on credit, whoever borrows money. Okay, creditor means whoever credit money, whoever gives money. So debtor is also called as borrower, creditor is also called as lender. So lender is nothing but whoever gives money, those persons are called as creditors. Debtors are nothing but whoever borrows money from creditors are nothing but debtors. Okay, so here we have seen some examples. With example we can see who is debtor and who is creditor. So here a bank is a creditor. So here a bank is a creditor. So here bank is a creditor. He is lending the sum of rupees to some organization. Okay, he is giving some money. He is giving some money to organization. So who are debtors? These two persons will be debtors, because bank is giving money to these type of people. So bank will be a lender or creditor, and the organizations will become debtors and borrowers. So this is the meaning of debtor and creditors. And collateral security. What is nothing but collateral security? For example, we will see in this slide itself. So here intellectual property finance. For example, a bank, whenever I want money, I will go for bank loan. Okay, I will go for bank loan. So I will take the money from bank in form of loan. So here, for example, I want 50 lakh loan. I will ask money from bank. So bank will ask to show me some liability, to show me some asset. Okay, so that according to the asset price they will give money to me. So that is nothing but collateral securities. So whenever I ask money to the banks, they will give loans to me, but how much amount they can give to us depending upon the collateral security shown by us. So if I want some 50,000 of rupee, I has to show some 50,000 rupee of property. That is nothing but collateral securities. So here account receivable, inventory, assets, these are all nothing but collateral. Okay, so these are nothing but collateral securities. So everyone whenever we take loans, we have to show some asset, then only the banks can give the loans to us because of security reasons. Okay, so these are some important terminology. Next, formal and informal sectors. And formal and informal sector is nothing but, it is a formal means organized sector, informal means unorganized sector. Examples of formal means public sector, whoever, for example, government jobs. Okay, government jobs, well organized systems. Whenever there is a organized system, it becomes a formal. For example, BHEL, NTPC, REC, okay, BPCL, HAL, these are all nothing but public formal sector, that is organized sector. It is well established, well organized manner. Okay, it is well organized manner. When coming to the informal sector, so roadside vendors, okay, construction workers, these are nothing but informal sectors. There is no formal regulation, there is no regulation, unlike formal sectors. Formal sector has some security, but informal does not have any security. Best example here, in the time of inflation. For example, in the time of inflation means inflation, we will discuss about the inflation later classes. It is early to discuss about these inflations in this slide. So here the most affected peoples are informal sectors in time of inflation. Inflation is nothing but the sudden increases in prices of goods and services over a period of time. Okay, why this situation of sudden rise in prices of goods and services will happen? That is the other factor. So depending upon the demand and supply factors, these will be happen. The situation will arise in the countries. So here we will discuss in the later sessions inflation. So here the informal sectors have not having any securities. In terms of inflation, there will be major impact. The major impact is on informal sector people, but not like formal. Formal government will give, government will regulate, government will monetize. Okay, government will give DS, dearance allowance in form of in times of inflation. Okay, every 6 months their accounts will be added by with dearance allowances. Okay, if ever the prices of goods and services increases over a period of time, that increase in cost will be in the form of dearance allowance to the formal sector people, but not for informal sector of people. So we will discuss these terminologies in lectures. Okay, in lectures, in further lectures. Finally, get into the last slide, that is liquidity. So liquidity is nothing but it is a it is a financial instrument or asset which can be easily convertible into cash form whenever we required. Okay, without any loss of value. This is important, without any loss of value. So for example, whenever I want to sell some bonds, mutual funds, so I can easily convertible into cash whenever I need, but without any no loss of value. So these are nothing but liquid assets. So liquid assets are nothing but easily convertible into a cash form. Okay, so without any loss of value. But there are some non-liquidity assets also. So those are the examples of house. So property is nothing, nowhere liquidity asset, because whenever we required money instantly we can get money from house, but we have to bear some loss, some 20 or 30% we have to bear. So it is not a liquefiable, easily we cannot liquefiable. This property will not be liquefiable. So here, so that is the importance of liquid assets. So liquidity is nothing but it is easily exchanged, quickly exchanged, and at no cost it can be exchanged with no loss of value. So these are the terms which we have seen in this session. So these are very important terminologies, basic terminologies. These are basic terminologies in the story of evolution of modern economy since evolution of mankind. We have started from barter system and we have seen the currency, legal tender, bearer instrument, coming to the formal and informal sectors, and finally we have seen liquidity. So this is the end of the session. Thank you. If you have any kind of queries regarding this video, please let me know in below comment section. And if you like the video, please like and share. To get regular updates from me, please do subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon. Take care and Jai Hind.